We all have emotional landmines, those triggers that make it difficult to respond in the way that we'd like to that situation. And the response is normally out of proportion to what's actually going on because we're not responding to that moment, but typically to a pattern of moments long before that one that required quite a bit of our body's resources because of the stress of what was actually happening. So when something kind of like that thing triggers the emotional landmine, we have a response that typically falls into one of four categories, and we might even shift through them depending on the situation. But the insight we bring to those moments can help us respond in ways that are more suited to what's actually happening. When we start responding better, those situations start to go better and better. We can heal those relationships and build the skills, the biology that lets us diffuse those emotional landmines over time. Those four categories of responses are fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. Now, two of those you may have heard before. The fight or flight mode, which we see as a trauma response, but can also be seen as a stress response. In those stressful moments, hijack our logical thinking and go down into the limbic system, into the brainstem. So things that we logically know, we can cognitively comprehend it, no longer make sense. And the information we're hearing doesn't register. It doesn't sink in. And it won't until we bring our logical mind back online. These type of responses, these emotional landmines, didn't happen all at once. They were built up over thousands of interactions during childhood and early adulthood. Big moments later on in life can make them even harder to manage. And in the same way, we can't expect ourselves to get rid of them all at once. But instead, we can find those moments throughout everyday life to retrain, to recondition our bodies to have the new response that we want to have in that situation. For instance, if we notice ourselves getting reactive around a certain situation, we can identify the pattern that's coming up and then think back on where that might have started from. And that insight alone can help us see, you know what? It's happening again. It's a lot easier to catch it when it's small and start to retrain that response. Staying present to the moment, feeling the emotions in our body, and starting to retrain that response. For instance, if we feel like someone's disrespecting us, we get all huffy and aggressive, right? That fight response. But we've noticed that type of reaction, it hurts me long term. We can't change that right away, but we can change how we breathe, our physical posture. We can notice the muscles that are getting tense and then start to relax them. Or if we start shutting down, disengaging, and go into that freeze response or the flight, trying to get away and avoid the situation, when it builds on itself, it gets way harder than when it's very small. We can say, I'm checking out again. Let me notice something outside of me. Let me say one or two words to that person to re-engage. Because I've seen that when I shut down, when I withdraw, a lot of times it makes things worse. So again, there's no drastic, radical shift that happens in a day. And the same for our partners or the other people in our lives. We can't expect them to change all at once. It's a retraining, reconditioning, repatterning that happens over time. And we have tons of opportunities to work on it. So the next time we feel that response inside, one of those emotional landmines, those triggers get stepped on, let's notice it. Say, what's happening inside? How can I get back to regulated? Start to relate to the other person, and then start to register the information that's coming in. And when we calm and soothe our bodies, it's difficult at first, but the more we do it, the easier it gets. And then adding in those kind, clear messages that remind us of what's happening present day, what's actually going on, that it's not the thing that it reminds us of. We can build those emotional muscles, the connectivity of our logical thinking brain to the emotional response centers in our brain, to the physiological responses that happen inside. Every time we use them, those pathways get stronger and stronger. It's not perfect at first, but every repetition, every opportunity to retrain, to recondition our responses helps us get better at it. And then the blow up of that used to happen gets a little bit smaller. And by the end, when that trigger gets triggered, we can catch it right away. And instead of fighting, running away, shutting down, or completely freezing, we can get better and better at being assertive, holding our ground, meeting our needs while still honoring the needs of the other person, setting clear boundaries and holding them while still honoring the boundaries of that person. It's a difficult thing, but this is the human game. No one gets out of childhood without some of these emotional landmines. And it can even help to communicate those with the people we share our life with. And then even noticing their emotional landmines. So when they blow up, we can remind ourselves, this isn't about me. This is really something they're going through. And if it's a significant other, a child, a family member, that empathy can help explain their behavior and make it easier for us to stay calm. Because when somebody else gets activated and starts escalating, the other person tends to do the same. But if one person is able to bring themselves down, the other person tends to come down too. Whoever's more emotionally dysregulated will typically take the priority. So in our relationships, we can take turns being that calming presence. And the more we build that skill, the more we can be the calming presence for the other people in our lives. It's difficult, but it's worth it. And it's doable. If you're tired of having emotional reactivity cause avoidable arguments that damage relationships, think to yourself, where are my emotional landmines? How can I get better at noticing them and responding to them in the moment while retraining my nervous system, which is really that inner child still hurt by things that happened long ago, and train my body to respond in calmer, more present, more effective ways that are alive to the moment and enjoy the peace and harmony that comes with it. Much love, my friends. We'll see you in the next one.